Hi, and welcome to this tutorial on clothes creation. My name is Joel Palmius, and I am the Community Manager for the MakeHuman community. By now, you have most likely played around with an assortment of clothes assets from the asset packs. Chances are you have found that there is a piece of clothing that you are missing. Luckily, creating that extra piece is not that difficult once you understand what the tooling does and the basic principles. This video is the first part in a series on clothes creation. In this part, I'll demonstrate the first basic steps in generating clothes. I will also explain the theory behind clothes and how they are fitted to the human. The theory might be a bit dull, but it is probably very useful to understand it, as it is not obvious from the UI what happens in the clothes matching process. Anyway, in the first few minutes of the video, I'll demonstrate how to get started and create an extremely simple piece of clothing. So let's get on with it. First, we create a basic human. The shape does not matter, so I'll just go with a neutral default for now. In reality, the results will be better the more similar the character is to the intended usage of the clothes you produce. For example, if you want to create trousers intended for a thin and old woman, you will get disappointing results if you model them on a very fat and muscular young man. With the character created, we can find the toolset under Create Assets. The first thing we should do is create a cross-reference cache. This might take up to a few minutes on a slow machine, but you only need to do it once. The cache will then be used to speed up calculations on all characters later on, so you don't need to recreate it for each character. We'll ignore most settings here for now. Instead, we'll create a simple plane and place it on the forehead of the character. I'll here scale and move it in edit mode. It probably does not matter much, but it might be better to keep the object as such in original scale. The details doesn't matter. Just make sure it is above the surface of the body. Now we mark this as clothes. We can see that we now get access to more settings. Let's fill this out and generate a unique identifier for the clothes. We'll also need a material. Again, doesn't matter much. Now we select both the body and the clothes. We now get access to the Check Clothes panel, so we perform a check. Oops, it complains about something. No worries, we just need to say that the clothes should be fitted to the body. We do this by assigning a vertex group and naming it exactly body. We check again. Now it seems the clothes are acceptable. So we save the clothes in the library. Now we can delete the clothes. We don't want to bother with rigging now, so I'll untick the Setup Rigging box. We can find the clothes piece in the Clothes section. So we load it. That's it, your first piece of clothing. As you can see, no particular magic was required. A standard plane could be used as clothes, after we had assigned a vertex group and added a material. There are some requirements on the mesh, but they should not be difficult to fulfill. The most common hurdle new tailors tend to run into is that they mix faces with different number of sides. It is acceptable to use trees or quads, but you cannot mix them in the same mesh. Faces with higher number of sides are not supported. Outside that, you cannot have loose words hanging around not belonging to a face. The rest we just saw. You need a vertex group and a material. The vertex group needs to also exist on the human mesh. But with this fulfilled, you could use any mesh as clothes. If we looked in the directory where the clothes was saved, we would find three files: a wavefront ob file, an MHClothes file, and an MHMatte file. As a side note, this is basically how all mesh assets look. Technically, there is no difference between teeth and a t-shirt. They will have these files and they will have the same structure. The MHMatte file we'll take a look at in a later part of the series. There's also a whole video just about clothes materials you can take a look at. The MHClothes file I'll explain in a moment. But let's dive into what happened when we produced the clothes. Imagine that the green face is a face on the human body, having 4 vertices. We'll call this B1 to B4. The yellow mesh is the clothes. For now, let's focus on the first vertex in its mesh, here called C1. In the clothes matching process, MakeClothes will go through all vertices on the clothes one by one and match them with the vertices on the body. In rough summary, the algorithm focuses on proximity. Basically, which 3 vertices on the body are closest to the vertex on the clothes. So when we process the first clothes vertex, we find that the C1 clothes vertex is closest to the body vertices 1, 3, and 4. We now proceed to find out the median point between the body vertices. There's a bit more to it, but basically, what's the center of the triangle formed by the body vertices? Then we measure the distance from that median point to the clothes vertex. In the end, we will get one line in the MakeClothes file saying that the first clothes vertex is closest to the base mesh vertices 1, 3, and 4. Based on the proximity of each of these, they should be assigned a relative weight of 0.9, 0.4, and 0.4. The distance between the center of the base mesh triangle and the clothes vertex is minus 0.2, minus 0.3, and minus 0.1. Later on, when we load the clothes, we basically do the reverse. We find out the current positions of the referenced base mesh vertices and place the clothes vertex at a given distance from their median point. This way, the clothes will adapt to fit different body shapes. The clothes vertices will be placed relative to the base mesh vertices no matter where they are. With this knowledge, let's take a look at the MakeClothes file we produced earlier. We won't go through all these things, but basically you can see the metadata we entered. In the bottom, you can see 4 long lines with numbers. These specify how the 4 clothes vertices were matched. The first line is for the first clothes vertex. We can see that it was matched against the base mesh vertices 5193, 5192, and 251. As you have seen, much of the discussion on clothes regards the matching of clothes vertices against vertices on the body. Here the vertex groups come into play. The vertex on the clothes will only match against vertices on the base mesh if they belong to a vertex group with the same name. If you use the vertex group body for a clothes vertex, it will match against the body per se. This is often exactly what you want, and for skin-tight clothes, this is suitable. However, to help with clothes matching, there are extra layers of mesh on the base mesh, just for helping positioning clothes vertices. If you select the base mesh and flip the mask modifier, you will see something like this. These are layers which are usually hidden and never rendered. The layers will have vertex group names starting with helper. For example, there is one helper layer, helper skirt, which is suitable to match skirts and gowns against. If you match the skirt against body, it would deform mechanically with the legs, which would look strange. Let's start over and instead create a gown with long sleeves. I'll first create a default human again and give it a slightly different color so we can see the difference between the body and the clothes. Here I'll show you a trick. You can create template clothes based on the helper layers. I'll start with creating a mesh based on the tights helper layer. Now let's delete everything beneath the waist. The neck is a bit too high for my taste too. Next, I'll create a mesh based on the skirt helpers. We'll join these two meshes together and bridge their edges. Now we'll take a look at the vertex groups. Here we can see that the upper vertices should match against the tights helpers, and the lower vertices should match against the skirt helpers. This time I'll create a paintable material too. This is done under Make Skin. I'll cover this in more detail in the next part of the series. If the Create Material panel does not appear, delete the existing material on the object. I make sure to create a diffuse texture. Now let's paint this purple. Back in the MakeClothes panel, I'll fill out some metadata and generate an identifier. Let's check the clothes. We're ready to produce. Since we have more verts, this will take a bit longer now. There, I'll load this gown on one of my characters. Let's pose a bit. As you can see, the clothes adapt to the body. But let's push this a bit further. I'll move the legs a bit more. Oops, that doesn't look good. The skin pokes through the clothes. That's something we don't want. Luckily, there is a solution for this too, something called a delete group. Let's continue working on our clothes. I'll now select both the body and the clothes. Then I click the Interpolate Delete Group button. This can take a while, and it might seem Blender has frozen, but just wait for it to finish. Selecting only the body and looking in the Vertex Group panel, we can see that a new vertex group has been added. Let's select all vertices in it in edit mode. Nope, no vertices selected. This is because we matched the clothes against the helper vertices, and these are hidden. But let's add vertices manually. I'll do it quickly and dirty, just for the demonstration. We'll assign these to the delete group. Now, let's produce the clothes again and load them onto our character. Generating clothes will take longer when there is a delete group. Now let's load this and pose a bit. Much better, no skin poking through. Selecting the body in wireframe mode, we can see what has happened. All the geometry belonging to the delete group has been hidden. Looking in the modifiers list, we can see a mask modifier working via the delete group. The delete group is something you will most often want, even if the clothes look good when loaded on a default character. By hiding vertices which are under the clothes, you can avoid having skin poke through. This is important not only for posing. Different body types will look different. Particularly a large stomach or large breasts tend to poke through the clothes if there is no delete group. Anyway, this concludes the first part of the clothes creation tutorial. In the next part, we'll take a look at UV unwrapping and material creation. Until then, I would encourage you to take a look at the previously existing tutorial videos on materials. But thank you for watching this video and happy modeling!